Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Wishing you a brand new day filled with energy and all the best. Dear friends, people often say, when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. After successfully transforming a shabby mud hut into a dream home, former CEO Toan and his devoted wife DM have proven to all of Sim Hill the sheer power of willpower and love. But a hungry stomach can't get full just by looking at a pretty house and smelling the roses. When their last bit of savings dried up, and with enemies in the shadows preparing to make their move, Toan is forced to make a decisive play to survive. Leaving the peace of the mountain village behind, the former CEO decides to hide it from his wife and goes down the mountain to look for a job. But alas, a penniless man with no IDs, not even a smartphone to make a call, how is he supposed to knock on corporate doors? Right when Toan is at his most exhausted and helpless, on a sun-baked sidewalk, a luxury car suddenly pulls up. The person stepping out of the car calls out the exact name Toan thought he had buried forever. Who is this person? Will this fateful encounter over a glass of iced tea open up a chance to change his life, or drag Toan into a new vortex of vendettas? Why, when faced with a red carpet job offer, does the former CEO hesitate and turn it down? Don't take your eyes off the screen, because today's episode, The Fateful Encounter in the Town Center, will bring you goosebump-inducing surprises. Let's watch right now. If you are anxiously following every step of the former billionaire's transformation, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to give him some extra strength. And now, let the story begin. The first fruits of labor. Over a month and a half had passed since the egg-laying corporation was founded. Under DM's meticulous care and the scientific disease prevention and diet strategies of agriculture professor, Toan, the 15 chicken flock hadn't lost a single member. On the contrary, every single one of them had feathers as sleek as if they'd been oiled with bright red combs. That morning, Sim Hill was still blanketed in a hazy mist when suddenly a cheerful clucking broke the silence, prompting the rest of the flock to join in. Toan and DM were out by the well, brushing their teeth. Hearing the joyful clucks, they threw down their towels and bolted straight to the coop. DM nervously unlatched the door. She gently reached her hand into the soft straw nests. Toan, they really laid eggs. DM's voice burst with pure happiness. She carefully brought out 2 cute small free-range eggs, their shells still a pale pink and warm with the mother's body heat. Under the morning sun, the 2 eggs sparkled like precious gems. Toan took the egg from his wife, his eyes suddenly stinging. Holding that tiny egg in his hand, it felt as heavy as a ton. In the past, he used to sign multi-billion dong profit contracts without a single ripple of emotion. Yet now, just 2 chicken eggs worth less than 50 cents made his heart pound with pride and overwhelming emotion. A CEO's reality check. In the following days, the hens started laying in full swing. Every day, DM collected over a dozen eggs. When District Market Day arrived, DM carefully arranged 30 eggs into a basket lined with rice husks, covering them gently with a dark cloth. She put on her newest traditional shirt, brushed her long black hair, and got ready to head down to the market. Toan wheeled the motorbike to the door, instructing his wife. When you get to the market, make sure to find a crowded corner to sit. Our eggs are 100% clean corn-fed eggs. Confidently ask for 5,000 dong apiece, and if anyone tries to lowball, you just ignore them. DM smiled brightly, hopping onto the back of the bike. Don't worry, Director. I'm bringing your negotiation skills to sell these eggs. I dare anyone to try and push me around. Watching his wife's silhouette disappear behind the bend of the red dirt road, the smile on Toan's lips slowly faded. His eyes grew heavy with deep thought. Yes, they had food to eat, but making a few bucks a day selling eggs, when would he ever be able to provide DM with a comfortable life? What if she got sick one day? What if they had kids in the future? No, I am a man. I can't just hang around this garden forever waiting for my wife to sell eggs to support us. Toan clenched his hands into fists, absolutely determined. He went back inside searching for his most decent clothes. The blue dress shirt DM had found with him back in the day, which he had washed and ironed perfectly flat. Toan decided to head down to the town. He had to find a job to generate a bigger cash flow. The harsh reality of the streets. The district town was blazing with sunlight today. The streets were bustling with horns honking loudly. Toan walked down the sidewalk, his posture poised, his back perfectly straight. Even though he wore a frayed shirt and cheap canvas shoes, the regal aura of a man who once stood at the pinnacle of success still radiated intensely from him. However, life is not a dream. Toan knocked on the doors of a few carpentry and mechanical workshops. The bosses just looked at him and shook their heads. "Your face is so fair, and you don't have a single callus on your hands. How are you supposed to carry iron and wood? Go somewhere else, buddy." Toan bit his lip and endured it. He pivoted, targeting small real estate or construction material offices in the area. With his vast experience, he had more than enough skills to manage these entire companies. But when he walked into a local real estate office, the receptionist gave him a sideways glance. "You're applying for the sales manager position. Where is your resume? Where is your college degree?" Toan's heart sank. I lost my papers, but I have 10 years of practical battlefield experience. "I'm sorry, sir, but our company works according to procedure. Could you at least leave a phone number so we can contact you?" A phone number. Toan froze. Since the day he was framed and pushed off the cliff, his billion dong virtu phone had vanished. Now he was a 000. Zero, money zero, ID zero phone. What did he have to make people trust him? He suddenly remembered his blood brothers, his old business partners who used to raise their glasses and swear to be together through life and death. If he could just make one phone call, they would definitely send a car to pick him up. But ironically, in an era where people save everything in their phone contacts, he couldn't remember a single string of numbers. His brain perfectly recalled every single business strategy, but those lifeless digits were completely blurred out. A feeling of absolute suffocating helplessness gripped Toan's heart. Toan wandered slowly out of the office. The scorching midday heat beat down on his head. Sweat poured down, soaking the back of his dress shirt. His throat was parched, forcing him to stop at a small roadside iced tea stand. He slumped into a faded blue plastic chair and ordered a 3,000 dong, 10 cents, glass of iced tea. Watching the bustling crowd go by, the former CEO smirked bitterly. Turns out, when stripped of the glamorous shells and the supporting tools of the modern world, a powerful, wild wolf becomes this harmless and pathetic. Lost in his endless train of thought, a sudden harsh screech of brakes sounded right next to the curb, kicking up a cloud of dust. A sleek black Ford Everest SUV with big city license plates slowly pulled over, stopping right next to where Toan was sitting. The car window rolled down. A man in his 40s wearing a designer polo shirt and expensive sunglasses stuck his head out, intending to ask the tea stand owner for directions. Suddenly, the man's gaze swept past Toan. The sunglasses were pulled down the bridge of his nose. The man's eyes widened in sheer disbelief, his jaw dropping. "Oh my God! Is that Mr. Toan?" The man's voice rang out mixed with terror and absolute shock. Toan jolted and looked up. He frowned at the man who was hurriedly stepping out of the car. The imposing figure, the familiar face with the mole near the corner of his mouth. The memories in Toan's head started racing at the speed of light. The construction industry, the partner corporation, the chief engineer. "Alex!" Toan called out softly. The man named Alex rushed over, grabbing Toan by both shoulders and shaking him hard, his voice choking up. "My God, Mr. Toan. It really is you, Boss Toan. The whole construction industry rumored you died in an accident, fell into the sea, and your body was lost. What happened to you? Why are you here looking like this?" Toan smiled a half smile full of bitterness, but also incredibly calm. Unlike Alex's agitation, Toan quietly removed his friend's hands and pulled up another plastic chair. "It's a long story. I just barely survived. Sit down. Do you mind sitting on a plastic sidewalk chair in your designer suit?" Alex quickly pulled the chair and slumped down, completely ignoring the dirt. Alex was a brilliant chief engineer who used to stay up all night with Toan on major construction sites, someone Toan had mentored and elevated greatly in the past. "Mind what running into you here is an absolute miracle. You're still alive, so why didn't you call us? Everyone is going crazy out there." Alex continuously fired off questions. Toan took a sip of iced tea and sighed. "I lost all my IDs, lost my phone. My memory only came back recently. Right now I'm just an empty-handed farmer. Where are you heading that brings you to this poor district?" Alex quickly pulled a stack of files from his briefcase. "My company just won a bid for a massive eco-resort project 15 kilometers from here. I was just appointed project director for this region. I was on my way to survey the site and happened to pass by. Seeing your silhouette, even if you were wearing a potato sack, I'd still recognize that aura." The two men, one sparkling with success, the other covered in the dust of hardship, sat talking passionately at a roadside iced tea stand, making everyone who walked by turn their heads in curiosity. The conversation lasted for nearly an hour. Toan told Alex about the incidents, carefully hiding the fact that he was framed only calling it an accident about being saved by Diem and his current life on Sim Hill with the chicken flock and vegetable garden. Hearing the story, Alex's eyes welled up with tears. He felt both pity and deep admiration for his mentor's extraordinary resilience. Suddenly, Alex looked down at Toan's rough, scarred hands and asked seriously, "Mr. Toan, you've been through hell and back. Even if you lost all your money, your project management skills, your design abilities, and your authority are all still perfectly intact. Are you really going to bury your talent on this Sim Hill?" Toan fell silent, swirling his glass of iced tea. I came down to town today to look for a job, but no one will hire a 000 guy like me." Alex's eyes lit up brightly. He slammed his hand on the table with a smack. "Look no further. My mega project down here is desperately thirsty for senior personnel. These young engineers today can't compare to your blood and sweat experience, Mr. Toan. I formally invite you to come on board as the deputy project director in charge of construction and materials. The starting base salary is 60 million dong, $2,400 a month, not counting project commission percentages. The company will cover your car and housing. I'll use my connections to get your IDs remade in a heartbeat." What do you think? The golden opportunity. Hearing the number 60 million a month, the iced tea vendor sitting nearby dropped her bamboo water pipe to the ground with a loud clatter. She stared wide-eyed at the young man in the frayed shirt, who had just drunk a 3,000 dong iced tea, wondering if she had misheard. An offer that couldn't be more perfect. It was like a life preserver thrown straight to a drowning man. If Toan just nodded, he would immediately shake off the dirt and step right back into the spotlight. He would have money, lots of money, to build a mansion for Diem, buy her the most expensive clothes, and escape the daily grind of scraping by on a few stray eggs. Logically, anyone would jump at this golden opportunity, but Toan did something that left Alex absolutely stunned. Toan slowly placed the glass of water on the table. His eyes didn't glint with a single ounce of greed or haste. Instead, there was a deep, profound contemplation. He looked out at the noisy stream of traffic. He remembered the days of cutthroat corporate warfare, the cunning schemes to fight over every square meter of land, the sleepless nights pulling his hair out to meet construction deadlines. And then Diem's image appeared, her pure smile when she picked up that first egg, the humble meal filled with laughter under the glowing bamboo lamp, the faint scent of roses on the porch of their wooden house. Toan shook his head slightly, smiling. "Thank you, Alex. You are still my best brother. Your offer is incredibly tempting." "Awesome. Then you can start working tomorrow. I'll send a car to pick you up." Alex happily pulled out his phone, ready to call his assistant. "Wait!" Toan raised his hand to stop him. His eyes were sharp but remarkably resolute. "I said it's tempting, but that doesn't mean I accept the job." Alex froze his hand, dropping the phone. Why do you think the salary is too low? I can cut my share for you." Toan gently patted his old friend's shoulder. "It's not about the money. Alex, look at me. Do you think the me right now is anything like the Toan from 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I had trillions, but I was totally alone, betrayed by my own flesh and blood. Now I don't have a penny, but I have a real home, a wife who is willing to die for me. If I go back to that world, I'm afraid I'll become that cold-blooded monster again. Moreover, if the people who tried to kill me find out I'm alive and working on a major construction site, they won't leave me alone. I cannot drag Diem into that danger." Alex choked up. He understood Toan's personality. Once Toan made a decision, absolutely no one could sway him. "So, are you going to support your wife with a few chicken eggs for the rest of your life?" Alex asked, his voice full of heartache. Toan stood up, pulled the last 5,000 dong bill from his pocket to pay for the iced tea, and smiled with unwavering confidence. "You're wrong. I am a CEO. I can build wealth anywhere. A flock of chickens today can be a 10,000 bird farm tomorrow. I will get rich right on Sim Hill with these clean hands. If you consider me a brother, keep today's meeting a secret. Don't tell anyone Toan is alive. That is the best way you can help me right now." Alex shot up, tears welling in his eyes, and held out his hand. The two men hugged each other tightly in the middle of the noisy town street. "I understand. I wish you both happiness. But remember, if you face any difficulties, my project site is 15 kilometers from here. My door is always wide open for you." Toan nodded, patted Alex's shoulder, and turned to walk away. The tall silhouette of the former CEO stretched long across the street. Instead of getting into the luxury car, Toan walked toward the bus stop to catch a ride back to Sim Hill. He was returning empty-handed, but his heart was overflowing with a strange, powerful energy. He knew exactly what he had to do next to turn Sim Hill into a gold mine. The empty house. That noon, the sun beat down harshly on the red dirt road leading into Sim Hill. Diem swung her empty bamboo basket, walking briskly. Her face was flushed pink from the sun, but she couldn't hide her radiant smile. In the pocket of her traditional shirt was exactly 30,000 dong, the money she made from selling their first batch of eggs. Diem's grain-fed free-range eggs were large with dark yolks. As soon as she brought them to the market, people asked to buy them immediately for 5,000 dong each, just as Toan had predicted. Diem calculated in her head, at this rate tomorrow, she would buy Toan 100 grams of lean pork to help his arm-wound heal, and buy him a new cool t-shirt. As soon as she stepped through the bamboo gate, Diem called out brightly, "Toan director! Toan, I sold all the eggs, not a single one left over." Only the mountain wind whistling through the bamboo grove answered her. Diem stepped onto the porch. The wooden table was empty. The kitchen ashes had long gone cold. "Toan, are you sleeping inside?" Diem pushed the door and stepped into the bedroom. The room was totally empty, the blankets folded neatly and perfectly square. Her intuition telling her something was wrong, the smile on Diem's lips, vanished. She hurriedly ran to the backyard, peeked into the chicken coop, ran down to the edge of the pond, and then followed the trail up to the vegetable patch. "Toan, where are you? Stop teasing me." Diem's voice started to crack, echoing against the mountain wall and bouncing back hopelessly. The garden was dead silent. The chickens were still pecking away in the coop. The pickaxe he often used was still leaning in the corner of the porch. But Toan had evaporated as if he had never existed. Time passed and the afternoon sun began to cast long, slanted shadows across the porch. Diem slumped onto the wooden steps, hugging the bamboo basket tightly to her chest, cold sweat soaking her forehead. The silence of the house had now turned into an invisible monster squeezing her heart. They didn't have phones in this modern world where people only need to tap a screen to know exactly where someone is. Toan and Diem were completely disconnected. There was no way to communicate, no one to ask. The world, her whole world was Toan, and when he disappeared, she felt like she was free-falling into a dark abyss. A series of horrifying thoughts began to torture Diem's mind. What if he went into the forest to cut bamboo, got bitten by a snake and passed out? What if the old head injury flared up and he forgot who she was, wandering aimlessly, or worse? Diem shivered, remembering the candid photo of their house posted on social media the other day. What if the black-suited assassins from his past had tracked him down? Did they kidnap him or silence him in some mountain cave? The more she thought about it, the more panicked Diem became. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore. They streamed down her sun-tanned cheeks. She crumpled the 30,000 dong in her pocket. What good is money? I don't need money, I just need him to be safe. Dear God, please don't take him away from me. Diem sobbed, burying her face in her knees, crying uncontrollably. The feeling of utter helplessness, the feeling of being small and weak when you can't protect the person you love, made Diem want to collapse. But she shot up, grabbed the machete, and prepared to rush into the forest to find him, even as the sky began to turn dark. Right at the moment Diem was about to burst through the gate, a dry sound echoed from the red dirt slope. Crunch, crunch. The sound of slow, heavy footsteps rang out in the silence. Diem froze. Through her tear-blurred vision, she squinted toward the top of the slope. Under the blood-red mountain sunset, a tall, familiar silhouette appeared. A man wearing a blue dress shirt, dusted with road dirt, his stiff hair slightly matted with sweat, was walking toward the gate. It was Toan. He had walked 10 kilometers from town, his body exhausted, but his eyes lit up brightly when he saw his wooden house peeking through the trees. "Diem, I'm home!" Toan's voice rang out deep and gentle. Clang. The machete slipped from Diem's hand and hit the ground. She stood stunned for 2 seconds, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. Then, like a bird freed from a cage, she bolted toward the gate. She didn't care about the gravel, cutting her feet, didn't care about any neighbors who might be walking by. Diem slammed into Toan, wrapping both arms tightly around his solid waist. The sheer force of the impact made Toan stumble back a step, but he immediately wrapped his arms around his wife's small, trembling body, holding her tight. "Where did you go? Where did you go?" "Toan, do you know I was scared to death at home? I thought someone took you. I thought you forgot about me. Why did you leave without saying a word?" Diem screamed between choked sobs, her fists pounding against his chest in sheer frustration. The pent-up anxiety of the entire afternoon now turned into a flood of tears, soaking the front of his dress shirt. Toan stood in silence, letting his wife vent all her anger and fear. His heart ached for her, but it also swelled with an intense, fierce happiness. Turns out there really is a woman in this world who values my existence more than her own life. Toan leaned down and kissed Diem's sun-baked hair, his voice soothing like comforting a child. "I'm sorry. Shh. I'm sorry, wifey. I'm right here. I'm here in the flesh. No one took me anywhere. Please stop crying. It breaks my heart." He scooped Diem up in his arms, slowly carrying her to the porch, and sat her down on a wooden chair. He grabbed a clean towel, dipped it in the cool well water, and gently wiped the tear streaks from her face. Once Diem had calmed down, she clutched the hem of Toan's shirt, her red eyes refusing to leave him for even a second, as if afraid he would evaporate if she blinked. "Tell me, where were you all day today? Your clothes are covered in road dust. Don't lie to me." Toan sighed, poured 2 cups of filtered water, and handed one to Diem. His gaze stared deep into the night falling over the porch. "This morning after you went to the market, I walked down to the town. I went to look for a job, Diem." Diem froze. "A job? But why do you need to look for a job right now? We have chickens laying eggs. Look, I made 30,000 today." Diem pulled out the crumpled wad of small bills and placed it on the table as proof of their survival. Toan held his wife's thin hand, his smile carrying the bitter sorrow of a proud man. 30,000. It's incredibly precious. But Diem, I am a man. I used to be a CEO managing thousands of employees. I can't sit at home and watch my wife walk to the market with a basket of eggs to support me. I went down to town, knocking on the doors of every small company, every carpentry shop. But you know what? They chased me away. A 000 guy. No ID, no degree, no phone to contact, nobody dares to hire me. Hearing the humiliation her husband had to endure, Diem shed tears. She reached out and stroked his cheek. "I feel so bad for you. I told you just stay home and farm with me. It's a bit poor, but as long as it's peaceful, that's enough." But the surprises didn't stop there. Toan's tone suddenly shifted, his eyes turning dead serious. "When I sat down to rest on the sidewalk, I ran into Alex." "Alex, who is that?" "He's the chief engineer of a major corporation, a trusted subordinate who used to work under me. He's currently the project director for a resort being built 15 kilometers from here. He recognized me instantly." Diem's head spun. The truth hit her too fast. People from Toan's glamorous world had finally found him. She pulled her hand back, a sudden wave of insecurity rising within her. "So, what did they say to you? Did they take you back to the city?" Diem's voice trembled. Toan looked deep into his wife's eyes, enunciating every single word. "Alex invited me to be the deputy project director. A salary of 60 million a month, plus commission, a chauffeur-driven luxury car, and a big house. He promised to take care of all my paperwork." Crash! The cup of water in Diem's hand slipped and shattered on the ground. 60 million For a woman who had just cried tears of joy over making 30,000 dong-selling eggs, 60 million a month was a massive fortune, an unimaginable dream. It could completely change their dark lives. It could return Toan to his rightful proud position as a wild wolf. Diem lowered her head. She bit her lip until it almost bled to stop herself from crying. In that moment, a wave of self-pity washed over her. She knew an eagle couldn't be locked in a palm-roofed bamboo cage forever. He had to fly away. So, why did you come back? You came back to pack your clothes, right? Diem asked, tears falling freely again, but she tried to force the brightest smile she could. That's so great, Toan. You finally get to be a director again. I'm so happy. When you're working up there, whenever you have free time, remember to come visit me and the chickens. But, in stark contrast to Diem's breakdown, Toan suddenly burst out laughing. A loud, hearty laugh. He stood up, pulled Diem to her feet, and hugged her tightly. You silly girl! My wife is so silly. Did you think this wild wolf would be so easily tempted by 60 million Diem was bewildered. You mean? Toan gently tapped his wife's nose, his voice firm but overflowing with love. I turned it down flat. I refused the 60 million salary, refused the luxury car, and refused to go back to being a boss. Do you know why? Because if I set foot on that construction site, the enemies who framed me would definitely catch the scent and come looking. They would stop at nothing even hurting you to threaten me. Besides, being a billionaire CEO who wakes up in the middle of the night in constant fear is nothing compared to living in a wooden house, eating boiled eggs, and holding this silly wife of mine sleeping soundly until morning. Diem froze, staring blankly at her husband. Her brain took a few seconds to process the information. This man, for her safety, for the peace of this tiny home, was willing to completely brush aside a once-in-a-lifetime chance to change his life. Toan, are you an idiot? 60 million? Why are you suffering for me like this? Diem burst into tears, but this time they were sobs of absolute happiness. She threw her arms tightly around his neck, nuzzling deep into his broad chest that smelled of the wind and mist. Toan patted his wife's back, smiling proudly under the Sim Hill moonlight. I'll make my own money. I'm a CEO. If I don't work for someone else, I'll be my own boss. Tomorrow I will launch a new campaign turning your 30,000 egg money into 300,000 and then 3 million. Do you believe me? Diem nodded repeatedly against his chest, tears mixed with her smile. The small house that seemed to have weathered a massive storm was now even stronger, bound by the unbreakable glue of a husband and wife's love. Dear friends, in a world where people are ready to trample on each other for profit, Toan's refusal of 60 million dong is the most beautiful love song about devotion and sacrifice. Diem's tight embrace at dusk proved that to her, Toan isn't a money-making machine. He is her entire world. Closing the door on his glorious past, Toan has officially chosen a new thorny path for himself, getting rich bare-handed right on the soil of Sim Hill. The former CEO's declaration to turn 30,000 into 3 million is no empty talk. What breakthrough business strategy has he been brewing for those slow-selling country market eggs? Don't miss the incredibly clever and captivating developments in the next episode, the former CEO's $0 egg marketing campaign. Hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this extraordinary journey of rising from the ashes. Goodbye and wishing you all a peaceful night.